Is this something new, or is it more of the same? The brightest minds in politics are with us now to break it all down. Tezlen Figaro is our BNC political contributor. Ray Baker and Timothy Allen Simon are also with us. Simon is the chair of the African American Chamber of Commerce. So, Mr. Simon, I'll begin with you. We do a disservice to our audience by making this about black and white. The truth is, if those black voters voted Republican, Mitch McConnell would be their best friend. This is about a failure of Republicans to come up with an agenda that black and brown Americans can get behind. Do you agree or disagree?
Good morning, Kelly. Excuse me, Dell, and thank you for having me on. Yes, I agree with you on that point. Words matter. Voting is a right. It's not a privilege. Politically and constitutionally, what Republicans are attempting to do by way of supporting the allegations of former President Trump is to create obstacles to voting as if it was a privilege, like a driver's license, for example. It's not, it's a right. And I fully agree with you. The issue is they are not going to message the type of inclusion or inclusionary dialogue that could attract more African Americans, Hispanics. But let's not forget, Donald Trump had an uptick from African American males and Hispanics in terms of the 2020 vote. So I think you have to look at this objectively, but clearly this is a potential violation of a right, not a privilege. And my concern, when we look at the open carry laws in certain states and knowing that people, including myself, will go to the streets for our right to vote, I think that we're looking at a powder keg right now that the Senate has to subdue, not subdue voting, but subdue the type of racial conflict that is clearly going to transpire in this country if voting rights legislation is not passed.
Tezlen, what are Republicans afraid of in these states that are passing these restrictive voting laws? As I pointed out, all of the things that happened back in 1965 and 1955 in America aren't happening right now. So what is the fear in places like Wyoming and in Wisconsin and Idaho? What is the fear other than just fear itself?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, the historical context, because it is not just the Republicans. We can go ahead and say all the Republicans, but what about the 5 Democrats that Joe Biden still did not call out? Chris Coons, John Tester, Mike Kelly, Kristen Sinema, and John Manchin. In 1957, Martin Luther King gave a speech called "Give Us the Ballot." And he talked about how both political parties have failed us. And he said literally that the executive branch has been far too silent and apathetic. So I find it no coincidence when Joe Biden literally said, "I'm tired of being silent." Martin Luther King laid this out and said that it is not just the Republicans, the right wing, but also what he called the Dixiecrats. So as we talk about Martin Luther King and as we do this symbolic gesture on his birthday, we must remember that this is bigger than just voting federally. This is also about local. And another thing I want to point out that so many people are not talking about, because the pushback is, oh, everybody should have an ID, or we already have the right to vote. So what's the problem? Let me point out that this particular bill also gives felons the right to be able to vote. Right now, depending on where you live, you have to go through an application process and pay fees. This bill allows those who have been convicted of a felon, not in prison, but on parole or probation, to be able to vote. And this important fact also that I want to point out, Dale, in the bill, it allows them to vote in their previous hometown. Right now, when you come home from prison, your last address is where you serve time, which is more than likely 500 miles away from where you live, and in a rural city, which more than likely diminishes that person's voice. So being able to go back and vote in your community, change your community, have an impact in your community makes a difference. We know it makes a difference because my favorite candidate in 2014 was convicted of a felon. She won for the very first time. She's won 3 times ever since. Her name is Regina Hill, and she's made a difference in the community that she lives in. So this is important. And we have to talk about these other points instead of just blanketing it as an ID issue or getting water in the lines. We have to get down to the details, because who among us will dispute that someone after serving their time should have a right to be a citizen again?
Ray, 30 seconds left before we go to break, but break it down for our audience. What is this really about? It's not about whether black and brown people vote. It's the fact that they're not voting Republican.
Yeah, I think those two things go hand in hand, though, Del. And I think it's important that we don't distinguish those two in the way that we might be doing it right now. That it's the question of, would Mitch McConnell have this problem if black and brown folks were voting for Republicans? Obviously, the answer is no. But additionally, black and Republicans and those who are conservatives in the United States don't invite black and brown people to participate. This question that you asked our other panelists earlier is, what are folks fearing? Folks fear the loss of power, and they fear that with the loss of power comes with it the loss of resource, because in the United States, we have not understood that there is enough to sufficiently tend to all of us. So there's a power grasp, yes, but specifically a power grasp to keep power away from black and brown people.